short illness there. And again, to another terrible, the Quinlan family there in Comeragh, the death of their son Francis Quinlan there, which was very sad and shocked. A huge shock to the whole community, 13-year-old, so that was very sad. And again, to the Long family in the Port Law there on the death of Paddy Long there as well there. And just the last one there, Kayla, if you don't mind there, on the death of Dolores Sullivan, mother of Councillor Lolo Sullivan's there, and mother of Grace O'Sullivan as well there, and all the Sullivan families. Would like to express sympathy there to the O'Sullivan family and all the Dolores' siblings there, and daughters there and brothers there in Tramore there, on the death of Dolores. Thank you, Cahill.
Thanks, Councillor Power. Councillor Brazil.
Thanks, Cahill. Yeah, I'd like to be associated with vote sympathy for Aisling Murphy and the family. This was a very sad event that happened in Tullamore and Offaly last week there. Look, it's every family's nightmare that when somebody leaves the house that they will come back safe, and that didn't happen, poor Aisling. Look at where I'm sitting here at the moment. I'm only 10 yards away from the Greenway there, which is running from Waterford to Dungarvan there. And just imagine that is the same track that Aisling was running on above in Tullamore last week there, and to come to her eternal death, I think this is devastation news, and this have rocked the whole country, and this have travelled worldwide at this stage there. And look to our family, I just want to vote sympathy, and I hope this Comeragh district will send the vote sympathy to the Murphy family. And I'd like to be associated with vote sympathy for the Henry family of Clondallen and McCormick, and also for the Sullivan family in Tramore. And I'd like to send the vote sympathy on as well also to the family of the late James Sonny Maher, who from Methane in Cappoquin, who would be a father of Anita Maher, who worked here in the council there, and also worked here in the Kilmay Thomas office for a good few years. Anita did, and Anita now lives in a place called Fahafida in Kilmay Thomas here. So I'd like a vote simply be sent to the family of Anita. Thank you very much, Cahill.
Thanks, Councillor Brazil. Councillor Byrne.
Thank you, Chair, and again, well done on your kind words of consolation to the Murphy family. It was a tragic, terrible event, and it's stunned the whole country. I suppose looking at her in her profile, there's an Aisling Murphy in most communities, somebody who's involved in their local community, who works there, who takes part in all kinds of activities going on in the community. So I think it struck a chord with people, because even though I wouldn't have known the girl, and most people wouldn't have known her, they knew somebody who was similar in their communities. But Chairman, allow me to raise something there now, which may be appropriate or maybe not, is that on the Greenway, in the early days of it, we floated an idea of having a cycling wardens on it. That would kind of add a little bit of security to people who would see them cycling. If one was based in Waterford, one was based in Dungarvan, they could probably cycle once a day there, and if people saw somebody on a bicycle which had a kind of a warden jacket, and it would add a bit of security. Also, as well as that, there's a lot of education to be done on the Greenway with people, cycling on the wrong side and various things. But look, I don't want to bring it up at this stage, but I couldn't think of anywhere else to bring it up. I think it's appropriate that we consider this. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Byrne. Councillor Clown, did you want to come back in?
Yeah, I did, Ciarán. Apologies there. I omitted there, just obviously mentioned the other votes condolences I had there. Can I be associated with Dolores O'Sullivan there, Councillor O'Sullivan's mother? I've, I suppose, fond memories of Dolores when we were growing up and swimming down the pier, and we used to all kind of, as in Lowland, we used to all pal around together. But Dolores used to always be a kind of a feature there, because she was so into the water safety and the pier and all that kind of thing. Also, can I mention Jackie Phelan from Brownswood in Portlaw, and can I be associated with Paddy Long on George Street, and also the late Dolores Walsh from the Woodlands of Portlaw? Thanks, Ciarán.
Thanks, Councillor Clown. Yes, I want to concur with all votes of sympathy expressed by councillors here this morning, and indeed I do want to especially express the Comeragh district's sympathy to our colleague Councillor O'Sullivan on the death of her mother. So from that, then we'll move on then in the meeting, and our next item coming up is the confirmation of the minutes held on the 15th of December. Could I have a proposer and seconder for those?
Proposed.
Proposed by Councillor Brazel, seconded by?
Ron, I'll second there.
Seconded by Councillor Shawnee Powell. Thanks very much. Okay, then moving on to reports, right? So our next item on the agenda on the reports is Section A, planning. So any questions in relation to planning? Councillor Cleon.
Thanks, Ciarán. Ciarán, can I just ask there what the lead time for pre-planning meetings is at the moment? I assume they're all still virtual. And just in terms of turnaround time for planning applications, it's still 3 months. Thanks, Ciarán.
Thanks. Councillor Barron. Joe, you're on mute, I'd say.
Sorry, Chair, I didn't take my hand down from the first time.
Okay, Councillor Brazel on planning. Thanks, Councillor Brown.
Thanks, Ciarán. Yeah, and planning there, I suppose. First of all, I'd like to concord there with Councillor Clown there on the pre-planning meetings there. I do believe that they're falling back into the 3-month section there now. I don't believe this is good enough for somebody that want to try and get a pre-planning meeting. We as council are promoting people to go for pre-planning meetings there, and I know now if you're industrial buildings or farm buildings, if they're over 200 square meters, you have to have a pre-planning meeting, and you can be refused if you haven't got a pre-planning meeting. And I think that we should be helping people along as best possible to have the pre-planning meeting within the 30 days as outlined as we should have. Second, I'd like to ask Melanie there about planning in 21 in the Comeragh district. Were they up much on previous years, or do we know like what the many houses that was started building there? I suppose development plan is the big one for 22, as we're all well aware there. And like we as rural councillors, my biggest issue on that is rural housing. And I'm going to keep raising this at every meeting and every chance that I'm going to get, because I want people to live in rural Ireland, and in that I want them to live in the Comeragh district of County Waterford there. And if we're led to believe what was spoken about first, it was always said that people couldn't build a house and only one people can build on a land holding, or if you're living on a cottage or on a house in the countryside, that you cannot build a house there. I want that to be more defined in sections of the planning of the new development plan there, where people will know exactly where they can get planning or they can't get planning. And I want that to be noted the same as it was in the old development plan. And I'm going to fight this at every chance that I'm going to get for the next few months while this is going. And the last one there, I suppose, camper van parking is a wicked issue here in the Comeragh district from the months of probably April, May, June, July and August in like the Balmahan and Kilmurn and along the coast, as we do know. And I don't think that we've anything in our development plan for camper van parking there. I think this has to be a must, and we should promote this as much as possible along the coast. And look at, I would hope that something will happen in that. Thanks, Ciarán.
Thanks, Councillor Brazel. Okay, so listen, we have Melaine Cunningham representing planning here. So Melaine, will I hope I have your first name right. And if not, I'm open to correction. And listen, there's a number of questions there from Councillor Brazel and from Councillor Cleon. So thank you.
Thank you, Ciarán. It's Melanie.
Oh, Melanie, okay. I'll know that for the future, Melanie. So, okay.
That's fine. Okay, so in relation to the rural housing question from Councillor Brazel, I raised that because it was mentioned before, and I raised it with the senior planner here and with the senior executive planner. And I suppose what they're saying is that each planning application is assessed on its own merits, and any representations and any submissions that are submitted on that planning application are taken into account as part of the assessment. in terms of the previous development plan and the rural housing and the plans in terms of the zoning of land for that, I can go back to you and get a more comprehensive answer on that. I know we had the workshops and we had the Comeragh one, so whether some of those issues were addressed in that workshop, probably not. I can look back and see on the notes. In relation to the parking and the caravan parking, was it Bunmahan and where else was mentioned?
Kilmorn.
Bunmahan, Kilmorn and Anstown, Melanie, yeah.
Okay. Okay, again, I would probably have to go back and get a response on that and maybe talk to roads as well in relation to it. And many houses built in the Comeragh area in 2021, that will be easy to extract from the iPlan system. So I will do that. Is it specifically one-off houses or is it also any developments or small estates or anything like that? Is it all housing?
Oh, sure, yeah, that's all. It's all housing, Melanie. Sure. As you know, like there are no estates built in the Comeragh district over the past 12 months.
Okay.
That have been filled.
Okay. In relation to the lead time for the pre-planning, I do know that there was a big push on the pre-plannings and a large number of them got closed off. I take it that there are still delays and that is something that the department is aware of, and we're looking at putting systems in place in order to address that. I will speak to the senior planner on the one on the lead times in terms of where pre-planning is an absolute essential in relation to the industrial buildings and come back with a response on that. The question on the lead time on planning applications still stands. The 5 weeks for the submissions and the turnaround on the decision within the 8 weeks. Is that the question that was asked?
Yeah, it is, Melanie. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Power, did you want to come in there?
Yeah, just there again on say on agricultural buildings there and planning there, looking pre-planning on them. Look, I would have seen a lot of agricultural buildings that would be going for grant, would be grant aided there, and look, I would have seen once or twice there where the planning hadn't come through there, and look, they lost out on the application for the grant and it was prolonged there and that. So that's kind of a bit of an issue with farm buildings there, what I would see. But look, other than that, look, Everton, I think is, look, I see the planners in there, look, they're busy, look, and they're doing their utmost best there too to try and keep up with everything that's going on there. Look, so I have to commend them on that end of it anyway as well. So look, okay, that's it, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Power. Just for clarification, Melanie, will you be coming back privately to Councillor Brazel in relation to these questions, or when are we talking about? Are we talking about the next meeting, or are we talking in the interim you will come back to Councillor Brazel?
Well, I was going to look through them all and pass the responses back to Honor, if that's okay, and then Honor can circulate them to either the individual councillor who asked the question or to everybody.
Okay, well, I think to be in the interest of everybody, but particularly to Councillor Brazel who raised the issue. So if it's done through Honor, I think that's quite acceptable.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving on then to section B of the report, environment. So any questions on environment? Now I have Councillor Cleon.
Thanks, Ciarán. Ciarán, I was delighted to read in the environment report there that funding has been received from the EPA to install water stations at each of the 5 blue flag beaches. And that's obviously, you know, going to try and reduce plastic promotion. The only difficulty I have with it is that we don't have any of the 5 blue flag beaches. They're Clonea, Councillor Strand and Dunmore Strand, Tramore Beach and Ardmore Beach. Now, obviously, there's a possible issue with water quality in Bunmahan, which has been raised several times there by Councillor Power and others over the last few months. But do we have the resources as a council to install water stations in our beaches, such as Bunmahan, such as Kilmurn, Anstown, you know, I think it's a great idea. I can't envisage there being a huge cost involved simply because, generally speaking, there is some kind of council infrastructure close enough to most of our beaches. So it shouldn't be a massively huge job. So again, Councillor, look, I do welcome it. I am disappointed that we are not in it, obviously, because we don't have currently any blue flag beaches. But I would like the other members' support here to see if we can find some solution to include that at our beaches, because I think it's a good initiative and I think it's something practical, simple, and something that would work. Thanks, Ciarán.
Thanks, Councillor Clown. Councillor Brazel.
Thanks, Cahill. Yeah, I'd like to ask Luke there about dumping is still a big issue there in the Comeragh district there. I've seen that dumping done there around Christmas there and after Christmas there. And I'd just like to know, is there many people getting fined or names being caught in bags that has been dumped around the roadside there? Because look, I think something will have to happen on this, because if it don't, it's going to go to hand again. And I suppose, Luke, this year, hopefully, we will have a few cleanups go ahead in the Comeragh district. I suppose the big one is, again, as we know, is the Comeragh development one there, Easter Monday. I would hope that'll go ahead this year. And I'm just wondering, are all planned in place to help that group in any way possible to make that Comeragh cleanup a success, as well as other cleanups in the Comeragh district as well. Thanks, Cahill.
Thanks, Councillor Brazel. Okay, we have Ray Maloney, Luke O'Brien, who's representing Environment. So we'll have a response to those questions from Luke. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you, Ciarán. Firstly, Councillor Clune raised the issue in relation to the provision of water refill stations in the Comeragh area. Initially, funding has been obtained in relation to blue flag beaches. That funding was sourced from the EPA. It is early stages. These haven't been commissioned yet. We would propose to roll them out to other locations dependent on funding being available and suitability of locations. So you mentioned the fact that there were issues in relation to water quality at Bunmahon. I presume that working towards resolution of that issue will enable Bunmahon to be considered as blue flag beach again, and the water refill station to be rolled out in those particular areas. But it's something that we will keep under review, and according as funding is available and where the opportunity arises, we will provide facilities for locals and tourists to enable to reduce plastics and to avail of water refill stations. Councillor Brazel, in relation to dumping in the Comeragh area, and you mentioned the fact that there was you perceived that there was an increase in dumping during the Christmas area. Unfortunately, the cover of darkness in winter provides some facility for those that have a mindset to carry out dumping in our environment to do so under the cover of darkness. We have increased patrols in relation to rural areas. We have issued fines, and you will have seen fine that was mentioned in our reports previously to the Comeragh meeting of illegal dumping that took place on the cliffs down in the Comeragh area, and the significant court finding and fine imposed on that person. We're continuing to issue fines in cases where we have evidence, and we're continuing to follow up on these. In relation to support for the Comeragh cleanup, the council have provided over the last number of years, for a good number of years, support in providing equipment and in dealing with the waste that has been collected. And we will be in touch with the Comeragh group prior to the Comeragh cleanup this year to offer them help in that regard as well.
Thanks, Luke.
Thanks very much, Luke. Councillor Power, did you want to add?
Yeah, just come in on that there. Look, I think the more we keep highlighting this there the whole time, the more I think it will deter people from dumping. Like, and I actually see up in my area, I don't think dumping is as bad as what it was, because I think we've been highlighting it there, and looked, in fairness to the press, have highlighted it very good for us as well. And I think, like, I think there's a little bit of a slowdown in it. That's my reckoning of any in my area there. So look, again, like I go back to say, I think we need to keep highlighting it, that maybe that people are being fined for it and all that. And look, I think it'll be a bit of a deterrent from those people. And again, look, I've always said it, there's only the one or two that are doing it. Like 99.9% of the people are good, and and have there been collections and all that, are looking and respect the environment and all that. So look, that's it. Thank you very much, Carol.
Thanks, Councillor Power. Okay, moving on then. There are no further questions on environment. Thanks, Luke. Moving on to section C of the report, roads. So any questions on roads? Councillor Clown. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Clown.
Sorry, Kiarloch, I was on mute there, apologies. So, Kiarloch, just a couple of things around roads. Just wondering where we might see the roadworks programme for 2022. Just in terms of the active travel funding there, we got 1.6 million last year, and I think it was very well spent. We can see, I suppose, the positive differences that it's made in each of the areas, whether it's Portlaw, Kilmac, Kilmeaden. Delighted to see the Part 8 coming through there for Kill Village, so Bunman, obviously there's lots of stuff happening there, so I think we got some great value out of that. And just to recognise both Gabriel and Maria for the way that they spent and divvied up that 1.6. Now, I just wanted to ask you here, just in terms of the Carrick Road tender, again, it's something we've all been involved with over the last few months from, I suppose, an elected rep's perspective and from the council executive. So just wondering what stage the tender is. Has it gone out to tender? When does it expect to be appointed, and how long will the works take? And also just bear with me now and sec. Oh yeah, Councillor Brazel kind of alluded to it there earlier, but from a different perspective. Just in terms of traffic control in Bunman, Kilmurn, etc., for the summer period, we saw kind of a good approach at Man Bridge last year, whereas we kind of got permission to use a field there. The council did whatever worked, used their insurance. And I just wonder, is that something that we could look at now again for Bunman and Kilmurn? We did, mention it there towards the end of last summer as a possibility for the next season. But I think maybe now's the time, maybe if it needs to approach landowners or put whatever needs to be put in place to try and get it set up so we have it in place so there isn't any kind of major issues there in the summer period. So just finally, Kiarloch, just on the high road again, I'm still getting reps on that. I think we said last month that we were going to try and meet the Gardaí and try to come to some solution to it. Now, I know some of the residents have been in touch directly with the Gardaí, and the Gardaí are saying they don't have the resources. We're saying as a council that we don't have the resources. So there has to be some common ground somewhere. We need to try and find some solution to this, because again, it's a safety issue, and it's just, I suppose, an environmental issue, and it's just completely, not realistic for the residents of the high road to have that kind of volume of traffic and mixture of vehicles on a road that simply wasn't designed to deal with that kind of traffic if there's an accident or an incident on the N25. Thanks, Kiarloch.
Thanks, Councillor Clown. Okay, my own questions in relation to roads are, I have to say, parts of Kilmeaden at the moment is looking like something, an area that was bombed in the Second World War. There's a number of huge craters on a number of roads due to work being carried out by Irish Water there. But my information is the delay is being created by some kind of a breakdown in communications between Irish Water and our electricity supply board. But nevertheless, whatever it is, there is unsightly scenes around Kilmeaden of major craters on roads, barricades and cones surrounding them. This is going on now for the past 8 months, and I'm anxious that it be brought to a conclusion. I'm not sure whether our senior road engineer, Gabriel, or our area roads engineer, Maria Goff, can give me an answer to this today, but I certainly want to highlight it. It's unsightly. It also has the capacity from younger people on bicycles or whatever, or pedestrians, for an accident to occur there. So I'm quite anxious to get some kind of a conclusion on that. And my second question then on roads, some time back I asked and requested that I know that at the junction at Kilmeaden there, coming off the high road onto the Carrick regional road there, that junction be upgraded. I just want to ask the question this morning, has anything been done on that? Is there work being done on that? And I do want to concur, and I want to support what Councillor Clune said in relation to traffic management when there is an accident. There is a huge number of complaints in relation to traffic being diverted along up that high road. It doesn't seem to be an acceptable method of diverting traffic. I think that there has to be better options. And look, when it does happen, I mean, all councillors' phones just light up with people probably worried that a narrow road such as that is expected to take the high volume of traffic that it can entail when there is an accident. And finally, I just want to go back to something that Councillor Barton raised in relation to on the votes of sympathy in relation to the Greenway and safety and marshalling on it. Now, I'm not sure either, Gabriel, Councillor Barton wasn't sure where to bring it up, but when I'm in a tight corner, I always find our senior road engineer would be probably the best one to suss this out for us. So if there's any response to that, I would appreciate it, Gabriel. So Councillor Brazel, you wanted to come in as well there now. Thanks.
Thanks, Cahill. Just a few bits and pieces there, Cahill. I suppose from Marie first, the Methane Falls car park, Marie, I know we got funding for there a year or two ago there, and I know we had to apply for the Part 8 for there, and if I came back on it, I'm just wondering what stage is that at now, and do we envisage that some work will start there maybe this year? I suppose, as Councillor Clune said, Methane Bridge has been a great success with the car park there, and again, I wonder when will work start there to get that car park complete. And I suppose the other big one there, I suppose, is counting on there. Is there any talking to the Quilter there and landowners to see if we get something started there for the spring as well, because that's going to be another nightmare now for every weekend coming from March onwards. I suppose hedge cutting, I suppose, has come to the time of the year, the end of the year for hedge cutting there, and I suppose like this is probably mainly for the papers to promote it there for the next 2 weeks there to get landowners that hasn't cut their hedge there, please go out and cut their hedge, because it's landowners and householders are responsible for cutting their hedge there. And I think, look, we've only 2 more weeks to do there now, and as well as that, Quilter hasn't cut their hedges either this year there. So I'm just wondering, have we some kind of contact in Quilter to ask them to cut their hedges along the roads as well there? I suppose for Gable there, I suppose Limmy Bryan traffic cam and Gable, I'm just wondering what is it at the moment there. And the last thing there for Gable there, I suppose Methane Bridge there, I've been raising you a while there about Methane Bridge there, when you're coming from the Fuse direction there, when you turn left, turn right for Carrick-on-Suir there, the sight line isn't there, and you did tell me, Gabriel, that you would go out and look at it there at some stage. I'm just wondering, did you ever get a chance to go out and look at that and see, is there anything that can be done with it? Thank you very much, Cahill.
Thanks, Councillor Brazel. Councillor Powell.
Yeah, no, look, I just like to dare say to compliment again the staff. Look, I've been in touch there with Maria regular and Rose, and look, in fairness to she passed it on to the outdoor staff, and look, and I suppose they're keeping on top of it the best they could, I suppose. Look, I suppose I was seeing our roads probably being wet weather there now the last few weeks, and look, we've probably seen potholes and things appearing here and there, but other than that, like, the weather has been good enough up until then, I suppose, and probably hadn't had a massive, huge falls of rain there. And again, just there on the hedge cutting there, as Councillor Brazel raised there, look, I would guess again, you know, even I was at a meeting there the other day night, an IFA meeting, look, and it came up about the hedge cutting there at the IFA meeting, and look, and again, I said to him, look, I know 99.9% of the farmers are cutting their hedges and keeping them clean and keeping them back, but look, you just have the odd places, again, which I think are basically rented out lands, maybe in different, you know, kind of, I suppose, inches, as we call them, along by rivers and things, where kind of no one seems to own them or whatever, and there are bushes and trees hanging out there, and look, and they're probably the worst ones, the high branches, because again, look, I would get calls from agricultural contractors, and again from the milk lorry drivers, again, you know, about their mirrors, and again the school bus drivers as well there, look, so look, they're probably the worst parts. And again, look, I think we were said that we were going driving the roads with the council there and just checking a few roads there maybe before the closing season there again. So, okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Powell. Okay, quite a number of questions there for Gabriel and for Marie. So take it away, Gabriel.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Councillor Clune, the roadworks programme, obviously we're dependent on getting our allocation from the department. We normally get that towards the end of January. So I would be hopeful that if we get that in January, that we will be in a position to have a workshop prior to our next district meeting and have a programme of works agreed then, I suppose, presented at the district meeting for your approval in February. So that's the current timeline, and it's dependent on when we get notified of our allocation. Just in relation to active travel, yeah, a significant number of schemes commenced last year. We have applied to the NTA for significant funding again this year for the Comeragh district. We envisage that the NTA will adjudicate on that submission in the coming weeks, and I would be hopeful that at the district meeting in February that we would have a programme to present to you for the works that we intend carrying out in the district in the current year. So that's in relation to that. Just in relation to the Carrick Road, I let Maria, our councillor, come brief you on a time frame for that. Yeah, agreed. Last year again, we have significant demands in relation to parking, I suppose, along the Copper Coast in Bunmahan, Kilmorran, and those areas. And certainly, I certainly would look at working with you or with some landowner where we could provide a provisional car park. There are issues, obviously, in relation to insurance, I suppose, and managing that. But certainly, if there was some area available, if a community group could come on board, I certainly can talk to Irish public bodies in see can we work something out in relation to providing spaces off-road to alleviate the traffic congestion. So, and I totally agree, now is the time to work on that. And certainly I would welcome any input yourselves would have as members. You might have context in the ground where some community group may be willing to work with us. They possibly could charge. We may be able to resolve the issue with insurance or some landowner. So certainly I would welcome any information you can give us on that. Certainly in the shorter term, because as you rightly point out, it'll take a period of time to get it up and running as well. But certainly it's something we need to consider.
Cheers.
Yeah, just in relation to the high road, and it was raised as our last district meeting in relation to that not being appropriate for diversions in relation to a traffic accident on the N25 west of Kilmeaden. Since the last meeting, I have been, I suppose I've sent maps and details to our superintendent. I suppose on two fronts there, just recommending rather than using the high road, it would be our preference as an executive and your preference as members that the traffic will be diverted to Portlaw and back to Carl's Cross. And also, I think we're also willing to provide from the roads lads in the ground, we provide assistance in relation to diversion signs and manning where required. So, but ultimately, lads, it's a matter for the Garda Síochána. But certainly, look, between now and the next meeting, I would hopefully have further discussions with the superintendent to get a resolution to the issues you've raised there in relation to the high road. And I do agree, from a coverage point of view, there are some severe bends in it. The vertical alignment, the horizontal alignment, and the width of the road, I suppose, really aren't adequate. And our preference would be to divert to Portlaw and back to Carrick Cross.
That's great, Gabriel. Thanks very much.
Well, look, once I have information back from the Gardaí, I will brief you again. So I would hoping to have that by the next meeting. Apologies. Councillor O'Leary, yeah, I agree with you. There are issues out in Ballyduff. There is a water scheme in progress there at the moment. There's a number of booster stations being installed. There appears to be a delay in getting connection from the booster stations to the ESB network. I have raised it with water services, and look, they're making the necessary inquiries to get the issue resolved and the works completed in a reasonable time frame. So I'll revert back to you on that once I have more information back from Irish Water. The issue in relation to the junction there at the high road there as just at Kilmeaden that you raised in relation to the safety issue as you come out there. Maria and myself, we've looked at that on the ground. We have, I suppose, preliminary designs done. We have applied for funding under the active travel program as well for that area. And it would be our intention probably to proceed to consultation probably in the coming weeks in relation to a design and for year approval. So look, you can expect to see something probably, maybe hopefully for prior to the next district meeting in relation to moving that along, in relation to getting the statutory processes complete. And once with the statutory process complete, if we can get funding, some funding source, then work can commence there to alleviate the issue that you have raised. Unfortunately, lads, I know Councillor Barron raised an issue in relation to the Greenway. I had connection issues. I didn't get I assume the issue is Marshall's to. I don't know if you can clarify that, Chair, please.
Yeah, I'll ask Councillor Barron to come in and repeat earlier there what he stated in relation to Marshall's on the Greenway. It may be something we shouldn't be overlooking, particularly in recent events there. So, Councillor Barron, do you want to take that up again?
Thank you, Chair. It was an idea that was floated in the early days, which would have been something that would have alleviated the worries of some of the landowners and various people, which was bicycle wardens, maybe two, one in Dungarvan, one in Waterford, and they would cycle up and down Meeting, Kilmac, and turn around and whatever, and it would add a little bit of security to it. It would also mean that people could ask them questions about, the proper use of the Greenway and where they can get off and various things. I see it as a great PR role as well as a role for security. Now, I had an incident a few years back which the Gardaí dealt with an incident on the Greenway, which you'll be hoping to be very far and few between, but there was an incident where two ladies were intimidated, and it was dealt with by the Gardaí and dealt with well, and it didn't reoccur. So it's just an idea that came to me because a few people have said to me, oh, and I think, I can understand their fears, but they say, I don't think I'd like to go out there on my own now. So it does raise a bit of fear in people, and it's just an idea that it might happen. And Chair, if you will allow me come in for one other question, it's more a point of clarification. In the workshop we're going to have on the funding for the roads and everything else, will we have an opportunity at that to suggest areas for funding from the ETA, isn't it? Or the
NTA.
NTA, sorry, NTA. That, there's a few, one in particular that I have to raise. So will we have an opportunity before you set something in place, or can we say it now?
Just in relation to that, Chair, just in relation to the NTA programme, the active travel programme and the funding comes from the NTA, first of all, and it's different from the roadworks programme. It doesn't need, the works programme approved by the NTA doesn't need your approval. It's not a reserve function, so it's different from the roadworks programme. But certainly, Jerry, if you have, I suppose, and just be careful about the NTA programme as well. It's for new footpaths or widening footpaths. It's not for maintenance or repair of existing footpaths. That will come under our capital programme. But certainly offline, Jerry, if you have areas, and I'm sure you've given them to Maria already, but if you have additional areas, certainly if you can send them in the next day or two, certainly we can consider them as an additional submission in relation to that. But what I'm saying to you is at the February meeting, we will have a programme of works approved by the NTA at that stage, I suppose for information purposes rather than approval, because that's the nature of the NTA funding. Just in relation to the Greenway, just to point out, we have 2 permanent staff members on the Greenway, maintaining the Greenway on a continuous basis, and that's their sole function. So from that point of view, we have 2 members of staff. From a resource point of view, financially, I don't think we'd be in the position to put marshals on it, Councillor Byrne, but certainly if community groups wanted to come on board, certainly we would welcome that. If they were willing to do some marshalling on it or some promotion on it, certainly that's something we could consider if that would be, if there's merit in that. Moving on to Councillor Brazil, just in relation to Methane Falls Car Park, the application was submitted to Board Penala for planning permission. The board have come back to us for additional information. That was sent off probably October, November last year, and we're now waiting a response from the EPA in relation to their decision. And there isn't a timeline on that, but we're hopeful that the decision will be made shortly in relation to our application. Just in relation to the Methane Bridge Car Park, Maria's working on tender documents at the moment. So we have the funding in place. We have the statutory, all the statutory processes complete. So once we go to tender and the tender comes back in, works will commence there. So I would envisage that we should be in position to start works there probably, certainly if summertime, maybe our Q3 2000 of this year. Just in relation to Leamy Bryan, I suppose I'll cover the whole national, the N25 there, while under that query. On the positive fronts, I suppose, in the N25, as previously advised, the scheme at Cowes Cross, with a cost of 1.9 million, contract is awarded. Contractor has indicated that he intends to commence work there in February. I roughly spent a 6-month program there, so that work should be complete late summer. So that's the traffic calming scheme for Leamy Bryan. You'd also be aware that we have signs up at west of Kilmeaden, and there's a contract appointed there to renew the pavement, and that works will commence in mid-March. That's a new surface at the bends there west of the Carrick Road roundabout. And just coming back on the last meeting in relation to the Carrick Road roundabout, and you raised safety concerns, I've had further discussions with Transport Infrastructure Ireland. A feasibility and option report has been nearly finalised, and the intention of TII is to send that, once approved, to the Celtic Roads Group for design and implementation of a number of measures at the roundabout. And those measures will consist of increasing deflection as you come in from the west, reducing the lanes probably to 1, and landscaping works, with the intention of reducing the, I suppose, speed on the circling carriageway on the roundabout. Just for your information, looking at the accidents there, it appears that the majority are coming from cars coming from the actual west, from the Dungarvan side, rather than people coming off the motorway. So that's update on that. In relation to Leamy Bryan, as previously advised, Councillor Brazil, look, our intention is to get the design complete, the land acquisition complete, and be in position to go to tender and hopefully construction start this year. That is the program, and we intend to prioritize that over the next couple of months and get that moving in as fast as time as we can. Just in relation to the at the fuels direction coming down there at Kilmeaden, certainly I did look at the issue you raised at the last meeting, the safety issue, and yes, I agree. The sight lines to the right as you come from fuels down to Methane Bridge, Methane Bridge car park, the sight lines to the right are restricted very much by a bridge parapet, and it certainly is an issue. Is there an easy solution to it? No, there isn't, but we certainly will look at and see what solution is there, and we'll put a cost on it and see can we get available funding. But yeah, I agree with you. But it's a long-standing issue, and the reason that it's there so long is that there's not an easy solution to it. But I can assure you that we'll do our best at this stage to see can we resolve it. Just Councillor Power in relation to hedge cutting, yeah. Just as you're aware, and just to advise landowners again, it's the responsibility of landowners to ensure their hedges are not encroaching onto the public road, and also to ensure that there's no overhanging branches or dangerous trees. And we have been sending out a lot of notices over the last number of weeks, and we're getting, I think, very good cooperation on the ground from the landowners. The end period is the 1st of March, so we roughly have another 5, maybe 6 weeks for hedges to be cut. And also, just if you have particular ones that you're aware of, if you bring them to the attention of the GSS or the area engineer, certainly we will issue a notice. And just to advise you as well that where we're not getting cooperation, we certainly will advance that, and we will proceed to prosecution. So I think I've covered most things there. I just hand you over to Maria to give you an update there in relation to the Carrick Road in particular. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Gabriel.
Councillor Clune, just on the Carrick Road, just in this, we're carrying out a detailed design. A consultant has been appointed to carry out detailed design on the drainage, on the road construction detail, and also accommodation works. So I expect that we'll probably go out to tender towards the end of February, mid-February, and that will obviously go out to tender for a number of weeks. So I would expect that it's likely that construction will be over the summer months. So that's where it's at the moment. And just following on from what Gabriel said, Councillor Brazel, about Methane Falls car park, just it has we were informed last week the decision has been moved to the board level to make a decision, and as Gabriel said, we're not sure what the timeline frame for that would be. So that's it, I think, for me.
Thanks, Maria.
Thanks very much, Maria. Councillor Powder, do you want to come back in? Your hand.
Briefly there, look, I mentioned last week on Carol's Cross there. What any updates on that there, Gabriel, as a starter? What's the story on it? Look, again, I've been great. Okay, thank you. And again, just if I may, look, I'd like to support what Councillor Barron is suggesting about a greenway, having maybe a couple of cyclists on it there. Look, for advising for a little bit of security would be a good idea there by Councillor Barron. Thank you.
Okay, right. We're finished on roads now. We are. So
and Carol's Cross there, the update.
Yeah, I thought he answered that. No,
I did. Just again, the Carrick Cross scheme has been awarded, Councillor Power, and the contractor has indicated commencing the works mid-February with a 6-month duration and an overall project cost of 1.9 million.
Okay, thanks, Gabriel. Okay, moving on to section D of reports, housing. Any questions on housing? Councillor Clune.
Thanks, Ciarán. Ciarán, just a point I made there last week at the plenary is just that there's been huge progress generally in housing. you know, in the city areas over the last couple of years, like, you know, there's been huge amount of allocations last year. I think it was up 58% on the previous year. So I just wanted to ask Ivan, now again, I'd be fully supportive. You know, Ivan and his team, they've clearly done a massive amount of work in the city area, and to a certain extent, well, I suppose a lesser extent, the county areas, but you can understand that purely from, I suppose, a demand perspective. But again, it's just to ask Ivan if he could, you know, look at some additional housing units, particularly in our area. I know we have the 16 houses going up in Kilmac at the moment. They should be nearing completion, and we had 12 in Portlaw in recent years. So that's about 28 houses in about a 10-year, I suppose, period, which is about 2.8 houses a year, which I don't think is enough. So look, you know, just asking Ivan again, full confidence in what he's doing, but just to see if he could give us some idea what his plans are for the future of this area. And is there anything we can do? You know, is it a hold up maybe with funding allocations in Dublin? Obviously, the council have submitted their plans, so no issue whatsoever with the council. But is there anything that we can do from our perspective to try and get this moving? Thanks, Ciarán.
Thanks, Councillor Cleon. Councillor Brazel.
Thanks, Cahill. Yeah, just a few questions there for Ivan. I suppose one is that in Stradbally, Ivan, the house burnt down there mid last year there, and nothing has been done to the house since there. So I'm just looking for an update on that. I asked for an update there, I think, probably before you came back there, Ivan, but I didn't get it. Look, it happened like mid last summer, some stage there, and I think at least some work should commence on some way soon. Secondly, I suppose the grants for the HOP and the one for the people with disability and the mobility. I'm just asking, was all the money that was got, was it all spent in 21? And finally, is there any update on the repair works for social housing for people that need urgent repair there? Last year they were waiting of, I think, 3 years. Is that still the same, Ivan? Is there any improvement, or is there any way that we could look for more funding for emergency cases in social housing need? Thanks, Haley.
Thanks, Councillor Brazel. Councillor Powell.
Thank you, Carol. Yeah, look there, just a question for Ivan there. Remember there at the September meeting there, we met with representatives from Queelche there at the meeting, and look, I raised the issue there about in Cold Finn Woods there in Portlaw about that open drain there across from the new houses that were built there. Look, there's some stagnant water in it there, and look, I think, if I'm not rightly mistaken, maybe Honor might know that we to get contact numbers for Queelche. I know Queelche were supposed to come back regarding make contact with me, but I haven't heard anything from them about that. So Ivan, I know you're out there, Ivan, maybe for the couple of months there, but look, I was just wondering if you would have anything from them or any update on that, or could we get contact with Queelche regarding maybe putting a railing up along there? Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Perry. Yeah, I have a question myself to Ivan in relation to there was an explanatory booklet issued by Irish Water there recently, and you know, it went on to say what the works Irish Water doing, and before somebody says that this council has no remit, has no say in Irish Water, the point is that subsequent to what Irish Water does and does affect us. So they want to say that they serve 1.8 million households throughout the country, and that between 20 and 2024 they have 5.35 billion investment in public water and wastewater management. So my question is, it's been a long bee in my bonnet in relation to the lack of water supply to Dunhill, which has subsequently meant that there was planning given there for up to 40 houses and some houses building for the elderly there. But this cannot be done and won't be done because Irish Water cannot guarantee a water supply. Now, the only way to guarantee a water supply is to pipe water into it. And at an expense and a spend of 5.35 billion investment that Irish Water is saying in public water. I just want to know, Ivan, can you raise this? It comes, they report to the Department of Housing and Local Government, and I'm asking, Ivan, can you have any influence in making contact, making submission to Irish Water to have a water supply for Dunhill, which in turn will make available the building of 40 houses in the Dunhill area and housing for the elderly. It's a critical question for Dunhill. Dunhill is a small village with a great enterprise body working there, and you know, without water, Dunhill has nothing, and it's an opportunity out of a spend of 5.35 billion. Yeah, I don't want to repeat myself, but I think as we deserve a turn in relation to getting a water supply into Dunhill. So I think there's no other hands up, so we'll refer those questions to you now, Ivan. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Cahill. Yeah, just I'll take them in order. Councillor Clune, in relation to our capital delivery, we would have submitted to the Department of Housing just before Christmas a draft plan for delivery of capital projects for the next 5 years. And it's based very much on the need in each of the areas. So we would have proposals in respect of each of the districts, including the Comeragh district. I would have hoped that we would have had feedback from the department on the draft plan by now, but we're expecting it shortly, and I would intend bringing each of the districts through the proposed capital delivery for the next 5 years. It is from our perspective, it's an ambitious plan. It addresses the need based on the housing waiting list for each of the districts, and it would be my intention to do workshops with each of the districts to set that out in the next few weeks. In terms of what you, the elected members, and indeed members of the public can do, one area which I think we in Waterford have put a significant focus on has been tackling vacant properties, and we've been to the forefront in delivery under the repair and lease scheme. If there are properties in your local areas that you feel we should be looking at in terms of maybe bringing in under the repair and lease scheme for social housing, please bring them to our attention. We have a vacant homes officer, Robert Zelazny in the housing department is the point of contact. And if you bring vacant property to his attention, he and his colleagues will explore the ownership of that property and the scope for it to be brought into use, either through the council under repair and lease, or maybe by advising property owners of the various schemes that are in place to encourage the reuse of vacant properties. Councillor Brazel, in relation to the house that burnt in Stradbally, I wasn't aware of that, I'll be honest, but I do know that where properties are burnt, we would have to get an insurance assessor in, and that can take a little bit of time to identify exactly what the cause of the fire was and what the remedies are. And then, because of the nature of the damage caused by fire, it is a significant cost, and we would have to apply to the department for additional funding under their voids programme. In relation to the spending of the grants, we certainly on the grants for our own stock, we would fully spend the money in any year because we don't have enough. We're always arguing with the department for additional funding under that particular funding stream. Under the private housing grants, it's very much demand led, so it's based on the number of applications that are received and approved in a given year and the works that are done. We're currently working on kind of closing out the budgets for last year. I don't have the exact information to hand, but we will be bringing that before the full plenary council in the next few weeks. And I suppose touching on the previous point, we never have enough money for the adaptation to our own stock. It is, as I said, I've had numerous rows with the department about the level of funding that's given to Waterford on a proportion of the housing stock that we have compared to the national, and it's an ongoing argument. And any support that you can bring on colleagues at a national level would be greatly appreciated. Councillor Power, in relation to Coolfin Woods, I don't have an update on that issue, but I have raised it with our engineers who are going to follow up with Quailcha and look at the issue. It does appear to be a seasonal problem there, from what I can gather, and probably at this time of the year it's most problematic given high water levels. But we'll follow up and come back to you on it. And finally, Councillor O'Leary, in relation to Irish Water, I wouldn't have great confidence that I'd have much influence on Irish Water to make funding decisions, but we'll certainly raise it with them. I would share your frustrations because there was a very good social housing project earmarked for Dunhill, and it couldn't get over the line because of the water supply issue. But it is something we'll raise with Irish Water. But as I said, that it isn't something that we'd have a huge amount of influence on what their funding decisions are. I think that's everything.
Okay, thanks, Simon. Councillor Clune, did you want to come back in? You're on mute there. Sorry, Councillor Clune. You're okay, yeah, your hand was up.
Yeah, Ciarán, yeah, thanks, Simon, cheers.
Don't say I'm not looking after you. Okay, right. Okay, moving on then to section E of our report, economic development. Any questions in relation to economic development? Okay, first hand up is Declan Clune, Councillor Clune.
Thanks, Ciarán. Ciarán, I just want to acknowledge the Town Centre First Plan, which the Council was awarded 100,000 to help develop an overall strategic plan for Portlaw. So I think we're the only town in the county that got this award, or sorry, the council got this, the only place that was eligible or that was awarded was Portlaw. So I just wanted to ask Richie, what format will this take? Will there be kind of, I suppose, an opportunity for the community or community groups to be involved in the process? And I think it's June 2023 it has to be done by, but I just want to see if Richie can give us some additional details around it and what format that it might take, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Clune. Councillor Brazel.
Thanks, Ciarán. Yeah, I'd like to ask Richie there about the closure of Crew Wood. As we all know, Crew Wood has been closed there since about early on December there. And I think this is a crying shame to have this closed, especially over the Christmas time there and the New Year there when people were very busy out walking and want to get exercise. And here our prime location in the county of Waterford to be closed. I know there's work needs to be done there on one embankment there. But I'm just wondering, what is the update on this? And look, if this is going to into the springtime and into the summer there, I don't think it's good enough to have it closed there. As we do know, like there's 2 coffee shops open there in the area. There's one in Mahon Bridge there, Crew Coffee. There are about 6-7 people employed there. And above another coffee shop in Coney's Yard, I was told today that there are 9 people employed there at the moment there. And look at it, in a small place where the Walks, what the Walk have bought, it have brought in about 16 people that are employed there in a small place there. I'm just wondering, is there anything that we can do to progress in opening of the Crew Wood Walk? Thank you very much, Ciarán.
Thanks, Councillor Brazel. I have a question myself for Richie. It's in relation to that pet hate of mine, the Kilmeaden Greenway connection to the Sure Valley Railway and to the Greenway itself. Now, I have met, and I want to thank Maria Goff for meeting me, and we had an on-site meeting there. But what I'm asking Richie is, I suppose there is murmurs about funding. So what I'm asking Richie is, what is the possibility of funding? Can it be got? When will it be got? And when can we expect the improvements works to take place on that Greenway connection there? It's a fabulous facility for the people of Ballyduff, Kilmeaden, and I just want to see it out to the end, that it's tarred and chipped and it's fit for purpose in all weathers, and it's kept cut, and it's safe for people to use. So that concludes my questions, Richie. So we'll hand it over to you then for replies. Thanks, Richie.
Thanks, Ciarán. In order then, Councillor Clune's query with regard to Portlaw, yeah, it was the only Waterford town to get that funding, Town Centre First. We haven't absolute confirmation yet of what is expected within the development of this, but one critical component of this is community engagement. So I'd be inclined to say that the best thing we could suggest is that come the next meeting, we'll bring a work programme on that Town Centre First project for Portlaw to the municipal meeting with an intended set of how we will consult with the public, what will be the critical priorities for Portlaw, and how will the overall project be delivered. So that's a commitment for for the next meeting on that one.
Thanks, Richie.
With regard to Crew Wood and the closure of the thing, obviously the councillors are well aware that that was caused by an audit that was undertaken by Sport Ireland, and which found a significant risk factor within the walk, which leads then to basically an inability to get proper insurance on the walk until the risk is dealt with. We're working closely with Quilta to deal with the risk issue. It is on their property, so the solution primarily lies with them, but there are significant costs involved in delivering a proper solution there. So we'll continue to work with them, and we'll report back to the next meeting on progress. In respect of what the council could do, it certainly could, I suppose, write to Quilta and ask them to do that, to proceed and to upgrade and to do the works as required. But to be honest, I'd nearly request our continued cooperation with them at the executive level for the moment, and maybe that's a step that could be taken afterwards, because to be honest, they are trying their best to bring a solution to bear on it. If that would be okay with Councillor Brazel, as I say, we'd work for at least another month with them, and then after that maybe the council could add extra value to it. In respect of Kilmeaden and Councillor O'Leary's project, yeah, we've sent through a set of projects to TII that we would like to see funded under the Greenway funding, and as I said, the Kilmeaden project is one of those, and we're aware that it does need upgrading. I think we've applied for something, I think there's 60,000 to TII on that, and I think that would resolve all the primary issues that you have brought up now and in previous situations. But again, we've had nothing on that application for the moment.
Okay, sooner rather than later, Richie, I hope. Okay, Richie, thanks for your responses. Item on the report, Section F, emergency report. Any questions in relation to, we have with us Niall Curtin here this morning, so any questions? We have Councillor Byrne. Yes, Councillor Byrne, take the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair, and very welcome, Niall, to see you at our meeting. I raised the issue of the fire station in Kilmac at several meetings, and I've looked for an update on progress or otherwise on it. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to give us some good news today. So that's my question. Basically, it's been hanging around for a number of years, and there did appear to be some sort of a time frame on it at one stage, but I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything much recently, so maybe you could enlighten me on that. Thank you very much, Niall. Thanks,
Councillor Byrne. Councillor Brazel.
Yeah, I'd like to concur with Councillor Byrne on the fire station for Kilmacthomas. This has been thrown around now a good few years there. We, the older councillors, I'm naming myself and Councillor Byrne, would know a lot about this, because we were promised a new station in Kilmacthomas in 2009, and now we're on 22. And I was excited to hear that last year when I heard that there'd be a new station in Kilmacthomas in late 21, early 22. But I don't see any digging done there yet on that site in Kilmacthomas there. So look at. I would like to get an update on this, a positive update on this here this morning, Niall, and see, can we get this fire station to tuition? Because as we do know, the fire station in Kilmacthomas is not fit for purpose. It's not in the right location. And in the new Greenfield site there, where it's going in, in there, I think it would be an ideal place for a new fire station in Kilmacthomas. And look, I hope for a positive response to this. And thank you, Cahill.
Okay, thanks, Liam. Okay, Niall, we'll have a response from yourself. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks, Cahill. We carried out quite an amount of work on design of the new fire station last year, and we were about to go to part 8, and we decided to flip the orientation of the station to face out onto a different road for good reasons. So that was redesigned, and the design was just completed there at the end of November. I have been in touch with our consultants on it, and their workload has been badly affected by COVID issues over the last number of weeks, but we expect to accelerate the project towards Part 8 application, hopefully in the next 2 months or so. That's certainly our aim and our priority, to push on and have the project get to site this year.
Okay, Niall, thanks for that. I just want to concur there with Councillor Barron and Brazil. You know, our fire services are such a hugely important facility and necessity for our whole community, and it's welcoming. It's great to hear saying that it is progressing, and you know, it's an investment worth doing. It's only when something goes wrong, when something badly happens, that everybody regrets what may or should have been done in relation to fire safety. And you know, at this stage, I would like to compliment the work of all our fire people involved in fire, firefighters, safety officers, including yourself, Niall. We can never underestimate the value of our fire service. Councillor Barron, did you want to come back in?
Thank you, Chair. Just to on a point of clarification to Niall, and it's obviously good news that, you know, it hasn't fallen into some sort of a dark hole or something, that progress has been made on it. But when you said you changed the orientation of it and it may come out on a different road, the only one I could think of is the N25. Then is that what we're talking about?
No, it's the location is almost on a corner between two of the more minor roads, and we changed the orientation.
Of course, yes, you're right. Yes, it was the old N25 that would be coming out onto then. Is that?
I think that's correct. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That actually makes sense. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Niall.
Councillor Power, did you want to come in there?
Yeah, just briefly again. Look, I would have met with the fireman over in Kilmac Thomas over a couple of different times over the years. And look, Councillor Brazil said it's gone back since, I don't know what's to say, 2002. Councillor Brazil there, and look again, it will be look. We spoke about this, I suppose, before. That look, it is in such a good central place. Kilmac Thomas for fire station, no close on to then 25, and look, covering place around Portlaw and back in, you know, about Portlaw their own, but back on Power and McCormick and all that area looking. So look, I'd welcome any progress on it there as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Councillor Power. Okay, thanks for everybody's contribution in relation to, as I say, that very, very, very important aspect of all our lives, fire safety. Okay, moving on then to the next item on the agenda is taking in charge of the Fond-Loss Kilmeaden housing estate. So I'll ask Gabriel Hines to come in and give us some information on that.
Thank you, Cahir. Look, it's the housing estate in Kilmeaden Village, Fond-Loss. We went to consultation. We received one submission from the residents. They raised a number of issues in relation to minor issues within the estate. I've subsequently met with the residents. I think we resolved their issues. So I'm recommending to the members that the scheme, the housing scheme of Fond-Loss, be taken in charge. Thank you, Cahir.
Okay, thanks for that, Gabriel. Gabriel, I want to propose the taking in charge of the Fond-Loss housing estate. I equally want to thank both you and our area engineer, Maria Goff, for meeting the Residents Association there recently. There is still a number of outstanding items which both yourself and Marie have committed to doing, and the Residents Association are taking that in good faith. Could I just say that there's a wonderful Residents Association there. It's a wonderfully kept estate, and I would say it's a flagship for any estate, housing estate. It's absolutely top of the range. And could I also thank the work of Donal O'Murrow in relation to bringing this to fruition. There was, you know, it hasn't happened today or yesterday, and I've been involved there with the Residents Association over the last 2 to 3 years, and we've finally come to a situation where now I'm very happy to propose the taking in charge of the Fond-Loss housing estate, and I'm looking for a seconder for that proposal. Councillor Byrne, seconded by Councillor Byrne.
And Chairman, if I could ask a question when we're on the taking in charge, Cruachan View and Kilmacthomas has been hanging there for years, and I welcome the idea that phone glass has been done, and I know Councillor O'Leary, you've done a lot of work on that, and so I'm glad to second it, but I'm frustrated by the lack of progress on Cruachan View. It's been going on for an awful long time, and I'm not getting any answers to why it's not happening, and I would say maybe at the next meeting we would have a report on any of the ones that are pending. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Byrne. Honor, did you want to come in, Honor?
Yeah, can I just confirm that the Comeragh members are agreeing by resolution then to approve the taking in charge of Fonglass and Kilmeaden, please?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, fine, okay. Yeah.
Okay, do you want to reply to Councillor Byrne there, Gabriel?
Yeah, thanks, Cahir. Look, yeah, it would be our intention, Councillor Byrne, that hopefully for each district meeting going forward, we have a programme that we would be in a position to bring an estate or a number of estates to yourselves for resolution to take in charge. We have put a programme in place, and look, we know how anxious you are for the estates to be taken in charge, and the residents as well, that their estates to be taken in charge. So look, on a monthly basis, I would be hopeful that we will have an estate in front of you to be taken in charge, and I can get Donald and his team to give you an update in relation to where the others in the Comeragh district are and the timeline that might be involved in bringing them to yourselves for resolution to be taken in charge. Thank you.
Thank you. Ivan, did you want to come in there, Ivan?
Yeah, just to add to what Gabriel said there, Kerlik, like the report this month on the emergency services, there is a report on taking in charge that comes to district meetings on a rotation. We can check and see when taking in charge is due to be before the district. I'd say it's fairly imminent, and we can check with Honor anyway.
Thank you, Ivan. Okay, thanks, Ivan. Okay, then moving on then to the next item on the agenda is correspondence, which we have none. Then notice of motion, which we have none. And then the last item on the agenda is any other business. So I don't see any hands up for any other business. So Sorry, go ahead.
I've just got clarification back from Water Services in relation to issues in Ballyduff that you raised in relation to the booster stations and the works. They have confirmed that the works will be completed by the end of February, and they're having some issues with connectivity to the ESB network, and that has resulted in the delays, but they have committed to be finished by the end of February. Thank you, Cahill.
Gabriel, thanks very much for that, and that's a positive reply, and we'll count down the days. So I'll be back up and running again if I don't see Kilmeaden restored to its natural beauty by the 1st of March. So listen, that concludes the business of the meeting. I thank each and every one of your attendance, including members of the press and WLRFM. And looking forward to meeting you all at the next Comeragh District meeting. I close the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Gabriel. That's time, man.